Now, from an initial Sinn Féin statement that took 14 hours to issue and contained not one word of human sympathy, to passionate condemnation of murder by traitors. Never before has the political language of that party shifted so dramatically in the space of a few days. In a moment, we'll analyse what that means with Republican expert Richard English. But first, here's a reminder of some of Sinn Féin's comments.
I stand here as an unrepentant and unapologetic Irish Republican. I want to see an end to British rule on this island. I want to see the unity of orange and green. And this can only be achieved by peaceful and democratic means, and Sinn Féin is wedded to that.
I think Gerry Adams put it very well yesterday. We'll go toe-to-toe with these people in our communities, and we'll do it on a daily basis. I live 5 minutes away from where this shooting happened. Me sitting here appealing to people to bring forward to the PSNI is placing myself and others of my party in great personal difficulty. We're prepared to do it.
There is a duty on me, there is a responsibility on me to lead from the front. I think I am leading from the front, and I expect that people will follow, because these people, they are traitors to the island of Ireland. They have betrayed the political desires, hopes and aspirations of all of the people who live on this island, and they don't deserve to be supported by anyone.
Martin McGuinness there. Well, with me now is Richard English, an expert on Republican history and politics. Richard English, thanks for joining us. This language, I mean, we're used to the language of the peace process. It moves at a kind of glacial pace. And then we had a statement from Sinn Féin, very carefully considered. Some said coldly calibrated. But suddenly things changed over the space of a couple of days. What do you think happened?
I think it's very important at moments of crisis, when you've got a tremendous amount of international attention on you, that you get your words right, particularly if you do sense, I think, as was rightly sensed in this case, that there's something of a pivotal moment. In other words, I think they had to make sure that if they were going to offer the kind of condemnation of treachery, of betrayal and so forth that Martin McGuinness did offer, that they made sure that this was something they were going to stand by, that they made sure that they were absolutely convinced they could bring most of their people with them. I think we've seen that at other points in Irish Republican history. I mean, we saw it in the precision with which the 1994 ceasefire wording was chosen, the delay in moving to further kinds of clarification after that. And I think it's a movement which has tried as far as possible to be certain, when it makes a sea change, that it's going to be able to carry it through and stand by it in the way that I think they will now.
And perhaps a part of the initial reaction towards what was the first statement, headed by Gerry Adams, which talked, and they all repeated the same mantra about the logic of our position is that we will support the police in their endeavours to catch the killers, etc., etc. This need to explain almost the internal workings of their brains, but they weren't necessarily speaking to a wide audience, were they?
I think they were trying to explain the particular machinations of where the party stood and why they stood where they stood, and it was done in a kind of calculated way. I think we moved to something very different with Mr McGuinness's public statement, which we've just seen and heard there, in the sense that there was a more personal commitment to it. And I think it's not just the language that's used, it's the person that uses it. Here was somebody who very famously for a long time articulated what he saw as the need for violence against the police, violence against the British Army, and he was saying, no, this is a treachery against Irish republicanism as I understand it. And importantly, there's always also a language there of him trying to say, it's not just that I'm defending my own party, I'm defending the sort of peace that we as Republicans, nationalists, unionists, loyalists have built painfully over years. And the language of defence was defending peace and defending the kind of democratically endorsed peace that we have in the north at the moment. And I think all of that was important.
That use of that word traitor has been seen in a lot of the papers today commenting on its significance because it harks back perhaps to civil war politics in Ireland. I mean, how much is that just simply saying that the provisional campaign is completely ended and anybody that now continues something is therefore a traitor, and how much does that up the ante within republicanism?
I think in a way it clarifies where we've been for some time within republicanism, and it makes more public what maybe has been privately known. In other words, there's been a sense, as with the republicanism of the early 20th century, that the mainstream of the movement has decided to move one way and there are remnants who are not prepared to go with them. Within that battle, I think it's absolutely important that at some point there's a public clarification of where the dominant Republican leadership stands, and to make that absolutely clear is what's happened in the wake of these tragic killings.
Richard English, many thanks indeed.